Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. We are on our last relocation special. This time we're going to talk about moving to Texas. And I know everybody has been wondering about that because I know so many people are relocating to Texas. So not only do I have myself here in San Antonio, but I also have my friend Shanon Mangin, and she's in Austin. And I know all y'all Californians love Austin. So how are you, Shannon? Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Monica, I'm doing great. Thanks for inviting me on this call.
Yeah, no problem. So let's talk a little bit. First off, tell us about yourself and your real estate background. How long have you been doing this?
So my husband and I work together as a real estate team. He originally is a Californian, so he's one of the ones that moved moved here, went to school here, and originally he was a software engineer. But he joined me just this last year. So 2020 was his first year in real estate, which was kind of a wild ride with everything that happened in 2020, but it's been a really good move for both of us. And then I'm originally from San Antonio, so same area where you are. And when we got married, I just moved up north to Austin. And I've been doing real estate full time now. This will be my 5th year starting full time.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Yeah, so with all these people relocating here, they wonder what is the appeal of living in Texas. And my first thing that I say is the weather is not as bad as everybody says it is.
Right.
Um, it's hot, it's humid, but I lived in California most of my life in Los Angeles, and it was hot there too, just not humid. But what the beauty of it is during the winter, during the fall seasons, we have gorgeous days in the 70s and 80s sometimes. So the climate seems very similar to California to me. How about in Austin? What do you?
We're about the same. I have a Chicago buyer. I helped her purchase a home in the Austin area, and I see her on Instagram, and she's always posting, like, bragging to her friends, "I'm wearing shorts. It's December. I'm out. I got a tan today," and all of her Chicago friends are like, "We hate you."
Right.
But it is very different. We can have a few bad days, and definitely the summer gets hot, but you learn to find swimming holes and swimming pools, and you drink iced tea and you crank up your air conditioning, and that's how you survive. So it's not that bad.
Yeah, for sure. And that's another thing is when I moved here from California, I didn't know about all the swimming holes,
Yes.
and they're super cool. I think the water scene in this part of Texas is awesome. And even though we're several hours from the beach, we still have a lot of water that we can get to in the summer. And then the other thing was my air conditioning is so cheap.
Yeah.
So people think that you're going to be cranking up your AC 24/7, which I do, but I really don't pay I nearly as much as what I paid in California for
No.
electricity.
No, it's not bad at all. So yeah, definitely weather. I would say for Austin, it's for sure the job market. We are becoming the new Silicon Valley. So pretty much everything, all the major tech companies that were big in the San Francisco Bay Area all have, headquarters and offices here. We got Tesla, is the big announcement that's moving to East Austin. Oracle, Apple is building its huge campus up in North Austin. Facebook, Google, all of the big names have huge jobs and offices up in Austin. So that's why I think we have the booming market, just because there's so much job opportunity. And then it's also just known, like, Austin's always had the cooler vibe of, like, being the music center, having more concerts and fun. And, it's just, we've got the water, all the different lakes and everything. So it has always been a tourist attraction,
Mhm.
but the jobs are now drawing in more people than ever, who want to permanently live here.
Yeah, and that's awesome because, the Silicon Valley being in California, it really just gives those people with that technology background a place to go that is
Right.
a lot more affordable.
Yes.
You can get, so much more house for your money. I know here in San Antonio, our job market isn't as exciting. We tend to have a lot of military and a lot of retirees here,
Yep.
but the family scene is definitely growing. We have a lot of financial institutions in the area, so that's kind of where the job market predominantly leans, unless you're military or doing something with the postal service or something else. But it is a little more affordable than Austin here in San Antonio.
Sure.
So I feel like that is where the appeal is. But I think it's just as pretty and just as exciting. We're not as sceney and hipstery here, but little areas are starting to get there little by little. So
Yeah, like I said, I grew up in San Antonio, so I do love that city as well. And there's aspects of it that I miss compared to Austin, but there is definitely a difference in pricing. And when I first got married and moved to Austin, in my brain, I was like, oh, we could get a really nice home. And I was telling my husband the price point I thought, and he's looking at me like, you're crazy, because I didn't know the market yet. And so it was kind of sticker shock when I realized like, oh, wow, you need a lot to get, just a decent sized home or something compared to San Antonio. But it's all perspective because my husband was from San Diego and he's like, this is cheap, like compared to what we bought for our home. He had a little tiny condo in San Diego and he's like, no, we get a whole house here. So it's all perspective. And like I said, we have to keep in mind Texas overall is very cheap. Even Austin is cheap compared to other major cities around the country.
yeah, for sure. And you guys have like really cute mid-century type of neighborhoods and a little bit different. The houses look a little different in Austin. That you're right, they're more like vibey and cute. And I, when you're coming from California, it's very similar as far as like the real estate market type of home is concerned. You can get cute bungalows and all that thing, and you're not going to pay $700,000 for it.
Right.
So let's talk about the real estate market. What's the real estate market for you like in Austin?
Um, it's always been busy. It's always been a booming market. We reached a level of what I would call just pure insanity in the last month. It was recently on the news, like North Austin in particular, there's no inventory whatsoever. We have several buyers. We actually have several investors from Bay Area just wanting to buy houses sight unseen. We also have first time buyers, families that are all wanting to be kind of in that North Austin tech corridor. And it is hard. I mean, I will be honest, it is brutal to be a buyer right now. When we go to listings, there's lines. We have to wait in lines of like 10
Oh,
agents
wow.
to get inside the doors. There was recently, we put an offer in on a home. And again, I have very well qualified buyers willing to do full appraisal waivers, 40K over asking, and we still lost because there was 40 plus offers on the home and someone paid cash, higher. And then there was one in Round Rock that I think set the record. They had 96 offers on a house in one
Oh,
weekend.
wow.
So it is hard. So definitely, when we have buyer consultation, we're setting those reality checks. Like, I'm not going to bargain for you. I can't, oh, they want 350. Let's see if we can get them to come down. No, it's like, how much higher are you willing to pay? And just know you have to go all in to get things that are competitive.
Mhm.
For people that are not able to do that, like if they're, a young, like first time buyer or just a family where they don't have an abundance of cash to pay above appraisal, new construction is a really good option for people. And we've sold more new construction homes than ever this year for that reason. It is still hard. We have wait lists to get new construction homes. So I actually have a buyer right now in North Austin that's in the $1 million price point. We signed up for a custom build in this really nice neighborhood, and you have to get on a wait list. And so I asked, well, where are we on the list? You're number 156. It's like, oh my gosh. So there's 155 more people ahead of us. They don't have that many lots, so it's just kind of, you hope other people just find something else and get off the list. But you just put yourself on wait list everywhere. And you don't really have time to think about it or mull it over. It's more like if you've got an opportunity, you just have to be ready and jump. So we do a lot of prep work to make sure our buyers are already pre-approved. We have certain lenders that we know will close quicker and just kind of go above and beyond to make it a smooth transition. But yeah, it is a challenge right now to just to find something and then to lock it in. But that's the reality of where we're at.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it sounds a lot like the Los Angeles market.
Yes.
It's the same thing, appraisal waivers and removing of contingencies right
Yeah.
away and things like that. Here in San Antonio, thankfully, it's not that bad, but I mean, we are seeing the multiple offers, the above asking. But still, it's okay. We are able to get houses. I too have dealt with new construction recently where, they just couldn't find anything else. And I do have to say that right now is not the time to be picky. Like right now is not the time to get everything on your wish list because it's just not going to happen.
No.
But can you get a house? Yes, absolutely. In San Antonio here, you can get a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property in a nice neighborhood for $300 to $250,000. I'm sorry, $200 to $250,000 still. So that's still available. How is it in Austin? What's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot running you?
It's hard to say. First of all, it won't be in Austin. You're going to be somewhere outside. You be willing to go out a good 45 minutes or so to the suburbs. So, um, it's hard to get anything under 300,000 right now. I mean, even in the suburb areas, I would have used to said, oh, Hutto and Pflugerville and all those places. But right now, even those are kind of going in the high 200s, but with bidding wars, they're going up.
Mm-hmm.
So you really need at least, I would say, like 350 to 400 to kind of get something in those suburb areas. Anywhere in the middle part of town, it's going to be more like 600,000 or above. And again, it's just tough because of the supply and demand. And again, the builders are backed up. I think new home construction has also caused prices to go up because every month the builders keep raising their prices. They keep raising their prices. And so then that makes the resale market more attractive too, or sellers. It's a great time to be a seller. So if anyone wants to sell in Austin, definitely call me. I will have people beating each other up in your yard trying to get in. But yeah, I would say, if you can find something like the 400 to 500 range, you definitely have a lot more options.
Okay.
But entry level, at least, 350 is, at least a good starting point. And it's just going to be, in the suburbs, but there's still some really nice suburbs. We have great schools all around town. And there is plans for future growth where, some of these places you used to think, oh, they're out in the middle of nowhere. Like, why would anyone want to go to Hutto? It's in the middle of nowhere. Well, now it's really almost like you can't tell any difference between it and Round Rock. The city just never stops. It just keeps sprawling. And there's a lot of new, restaurants and shopping and things in those areas that are kind of making it its own little city where you don't have to go downtown or whatever. There's still more things to do. And I think it'll keep growing and making those areas more attractive to families.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, I haven't lived in Texas that long, but from what I hear, I live in Universal City. And so I'm only about an hour away from Austin. And back in the day where I lived, it was the middle of nowhere.
Right.
And now we have great shopping, lots of restaurants. It's just become very desirable. So, the market is definitely shifting. The regions are shifting. Out in the country is no longer out in the country.
Nope.
And, we've all seen that growing up our whole lives, no matter where we grew up. Growth is growth. And as the city grows, you start getting more amenities. And I think we have them in both of the places. I love that Austin has the 2 airports. They have what I call the baby airport. And then they have, the international airport for those who like budget flying like I do, because I'm one of those people to get up and go the next day.
Yeah.
Frontier and Allegiant, I think it is, flies out of the little airport, and it's easy to park, easy to get back and forth. So like I'll fly back and forth to Los Angeles to see my mom, and I can get there for like $35 sometimes.
Oh, wow.
From that little Austin airport with no wait. It's really simple. So that was another concern I heard of people who wanted to relocate, is that they're going to miss their family, or it's difficult to get back and forth. But the reality is it's not that bad. We have an airport here in San Antonio as well. And then the other big thing that I hear from people who say, I don't want to move to Texas, are the real estate taxes. So I think we should talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
In my world, we're looking at 2.25% and up in San Antonio here. But, it's all relative. We're looking at a lot lower housing prices here than in other places where the tax rate is lower. And I feel like we get a lot for our money. A lot of government places are cutting back on police force and, different government amenities. And I feel like we have more here than in some of the other places. Where I used to live, we didn't have truancy officers anymore because they had cut them. And I'm like, wow, these people are going around looking for kids, you know? And so just like little things like that. What can you say about real estate taxes?
I mean, the taxes are definitely, that's a shock. And I do warn my investor clients because, you know, it's tough to get to be in the rental market in Austin for sure, because our prices have gone way up. And then when you put the property taxes on it, the rent doesn't really, you have to have like a big down payment in order for them to at least break even. So that's difficult. For homeowners in Texas, you do get a homestead exemption, and that is a nice benefit. So you get typically 20% off your tax bill if it's your primary residence. Doesn't work for investors, so that's just a thing they have to deal with. But the other deal is we don't have income tax, so you get your paycheck. And so all of these people that are moving here from California, we have a young guy that moved from Washington D.C. He was like, "Wow, my paycheck just went up a huge amount because he relocated from where he was to one of the offices, a tech job in Austin." And so, yeah, you know, your property taxes are high, but you're not paying income tax, so you keep
Right.
more of your paycheck. And then, like I said, if you're a homeowner and you get that 20% discount, it's even more if you're over 65, or if you're a veteran that has any kind of disability, you get additional tax breaks as well. And so I think that helps offset it. And with really low interest rates, you know, you can still get a good, affordable mortgage payment right now.
For sure. And I think too, the cost of living in general
Mhm.
is lower than some of the other places in the country. I mean, gas is very inexpensive. I noticed a difference in my grocery bill.
Yes.
And then sales tax too. Sales tax is
Yes.
lower here. So at the end of the day, it all balances out, and it's just hard for people to calculate that. So I thought we should mention it because
Yes, for sure.
it's not as horrible as everybody thinks it is. And
Yeah.
yes, you can find a very affordable payment that is less than your rent was. I know at least that's what happened to us. And, you know, we were able to get a nice size home for that same price. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, anything else you want to mention? Maybe your favorite spot to go hang out?
Oh gosh, we live in the west part of Austin, which is more the hill country. So topography of Austin, like part of it, everyone thinks of Texas being like very flat, kind of nondescript, you know, just cows out in fields and stuff. But West Austin, I think it appeals to a lot of Californians because you got big rolling hills, you got the water and stuff, and part of it doesn't even look like you're in Texas. So where we live, we are out kind of in the Lakeway, Spicewood area. We love that area a lot. There's 60 wineries all around us. So we were just minutes from the wine country. So that's a lot of times what we've been doing, especially during social distancing. It's like the two of us will just like, oh, okay, let's take an afternoon off. We'll go check out a new winery in the area. And they're not doing all the tastings, but they'll let you take a bottle. You can sit outside by yourself and, you know, just have like a little picnic. And that's what we've been doing, kind of to get away, make it feel like we're on a vacation without traveling. But we're just checking out some of the little wineries and places around where we are.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I think for me, I like the Pearl. I'm sure you're familiar with the
Yes, I love
Pearl.
that.
The Pearl is basically like a little, oh, how do you explain it? Kind of shopping center, just a coffee shop, hang
Yes.
out. Very beautiful old vintage architecture, built around an old vintage brewery.
Mhm.
And so I kind of like hanging out down there. I've been able to do the same thing with social distancing. There's a beautiful hotel at the Pearl, and my husband was so sweet of me to get me a room all by myself. So
Hotel Emma,
yes,
I love that one.
yes.
Yes.
So I got to stay there overnight and just order in room service and do, you know, get to see downtown San Antonio
Nice.
from the room. So I really like hanging out down there. And then we do drive to the beach very pretty often, just to go get that ocean breeze. You know,
It's
we've been able to
therapeutic.
do that this year, and it's not as crowded, obviously, but you know, even if it's just looking at the ocean for an hour and just getting that relaxation in. So,
Absolutely.
so yes, we do have, and yeah, and the other thing that was different about Texas, because you're right, you were saying, you know, cows and tumbleweeds, and you know, that's what everybody pictures, is we have a ton of live oak trees.
Mhm.
And so I love trees. It's one of my favorite things. And so our our house is surrounded by trees, and you know,
Beautiful.
that's just one thing you don't think of as greenery. So it still exists. And I want to let people know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but great. Thank you so much for, joining us today, letting us know a little bit about Texas, and, for all those people who may want to move to Austin, what would be the best way to contact you?
You can look me up on Instagram at the Mangin team, or you can just shoot me a text message, 512-897-4349. And like I said, my husband and I are working together. So there's 2 agents working on your behalf, and we would love to help anyone. Even if you're just like curious, we get a lot of calls of people that are like, I'm in Seattle. I've never been to Austin. I'm thinking, we're happy to chat with you, do a little Zoom video, and just kind of tell you about the city, just so you can kind of, dip your toe in the water and just see, is it even something I'm interested in? So we're getting lots of inquiries like that too. And I'm happy to, just answer questions and give you our honest opinion on what's happening here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Never shy away from calling a real estate agent. We're more than happy to give you information. We're experts on the cities we live in, so definitely do that. Well, thanks again, and thank you everyone again for joining us, and we will talk soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.